Okay, this video is about hafting Dalton points, and I'm making this for Bob Morgan, and he asked me about this a long time ago, and I'm finally getting around to it. And one of the reasons why it took me a while to do this also is because I've been doing research on Dalton points and what the average size is and what I think they were used for. Because I think it's a very versatile design, and it can be used or can be hafted either to a knife blade or a foreshaft knife blade. I mean a knife handle or a foreshaft, or even hung from your neck. This design is easily adapted for a knot that you can hang from a necklace or something. But I think most of the time they were used as little dart points. And one of the main reasons is, after doing some research and coming up with an average size, the weight on this is 104 grains or 6.7 grams, and this is actually suitable for a true arrow point as well at 100 grains, but this is a early archaic or late paleo type point, which is thousands of years before the bow in the New World, in the Americas. Anyway, and this is just a convenient size for me for the foreshaft. But I'm going to weigh these both together, and I'll get into how I made the notch for the Dalton point and how it's made and all that. But I just want to weigh these two together first. Now this is grams first, 16.1 grams, and then I'll change the mode to grains. Uh, 246 grains. Okay. Now the glue and the wrapping will add a little bit of weight to it, but not much. Okay. So I came up with an average size mainly from information from this book here. Again, I've shown this in several videos. I'll probably be showing it in more videos coming up. Okay. This particular, let's see, on page 243, you've got a selected metric data on a large sample of Dalton points from the Brand site in northwestern Arkansas. Okay, and this is a number of different points. And what's cool about this is it has a mean or an average. Okay, so from these numbers, length, body length, blade length, stem length, and shoulder width, and thickness and basal concavity, I made a drawing. And it's right here. This drawing here is with the averages that you see, and converted over to English measurements: 2 inches by 7/8 wide by 1/4 inch thick by 1/4 inch concavity in the base. Okay, now this here is a tracing of this one. Alright, so it's slightly larger than the average. Okay. Now I made this one a while ago before I had this average, and I based this size on a picture I saw on another website. Okay, so this is taken from a picture. Alright, and it's rather on the thin side. They don't get much thinner than this. Most Daltons are actually pretty thick, and there seems to be an inverse relationship between thickness and depth of the basal concavity, which means that the deeper the concavity is, the thinner the point. Okay, and the thicker points tend to have very little concavity, which means that it's deep like this on specimens that were thinned more than on others that are not this deep. Now this concavity is probably the deepest that you'll see. I think 9 millimeters is the deepest on the averages. Yeah, 9.5. The range on the basal concavity, 9.5 millimeters is the maximum on this particular set of Daltons, okay? So, I've seen a lot of reproductions of replicas of Daltons with very deep bases, but this is kind of rare to see the deep base, okay? Well, I put it on here to illustrate that it can still be hafted with a very deep concavity and relatively, average. This is an average size of the ground area. The basal concavity on the specimens almost never goes past halfway of this grinding here. It's always, halfway or less, this concavity. So there's plenty of room in here to, for the glue to stick onto the stone itself. Now the way I cut this was on a bandsaw, but inside you'll notice it's not flat. It's got a V-shaped bottom to this notch. Okay, it's not flat across like most arrowheads, or the technique for there's a technique where you can cut it and bend it and snap it so that you're snapping out a U-shaped groove. And I might do that in a different video. But anyway, this is not a flat bottom for this particular type. And I think it was, this was done with another stone and just, this ground in and not broken in that, I think it's called a 4-notch technique or a 3-notch technique. I don't know. But anyway, I think this was just scraped in, carved in, sawed in, whatever you want to call it, with another stone. And just carved out until it fit snugly. Okay? And then I'm going to use some mastic or some glue, and then I'll wrap it with thread too. But I just wanted to show you how that fits in. Now, I think that these were hafted with plant fiber and not sinew, because sinew you don't need to ground, or you don't need to grind these edges. You can just wrap it, and sinew will not be cut by sharp edges. As it dries and shrinks, it will not be cut. But non-animal fiber or plant fiber, it will be cut when you start to twist and tighten the wrapping. So you need to grind these edges with non-animal type fiber like tendon or rawhide. If you use plant fiber, you'll need to grind the edges. Okay, I hope that made sense. It took me a while to get that out. Okay, so plant fiber. I believe these were hafted with plant fiber and mastic of some sort. Some kind of sap, pine sap probably. But I'm just going to use this modeling clay just to illustrate, because I want to save this for a pattern, later. I use this as an average pattern for Daltons. Okay. So I'll just put a little bit in here. And you can see that fits pretty snugly. It didn't take all that long to make that groove. And this is just for illustration purposes. This is not how I would normally do it. I would normally use real pine pitch glue or some other mastic. But I'm just using this modeling clay because I want it to be temporary. But I do want to illustrate how it's done. Okay, and I think the proportions are right or correct for this, as far as the size and shape of the foreshaft. Now the diameter that I'm using is 12 millimeters or 7/16 in diameter. It seems to work pretty good. Now most Daltons are thicker than this, so that's why the foreshaft is on the thick side. Normally the 4 shafts I use are 3/8 and not 7/16, which is, it's 1/16. 3/8 is 1/16 smaller, I think, than 7/16. Yeah. Okay. All right. So normally this would be pine pitch glue or something. All right. And I'm just going to do this quickly. Now this is just regular sewing thread. But in the past, I think they used plant fibers. Almost did it again. They used bast or other plant fiber. Now this is the part where you need a dull edge. And you need dull edge in here too, because if I go like this, you don't want any part of the stone to cut into the into this wrapping. You don't want it cutting in down here or up here. I think they wrapped it in all different directions to get this joint as solid as possible. And I think it was wrapped all the way past, or all the way up to the very tip of the wood and the mastic. With nothing sticking out at the top. I think it was all covered. Because the way it's shaped lends itself to you being able to extend this thread up over the top while still maintaining it tight. I don't know if you catch my meaning. This concavity helps to keep everything tight. When it goes over the top of this, okay? Helps to keep good tension. Anyway. I think the whole the entire tip of this foreshaft was covered over by wrappings. Okay. And wrap this way crosswise, and then wrap down a ways also to prevent splitting when it hit. So this is a very, very rigid arrangement. It's a very secure, this point style, or the base or the hafting area for this particular style lends itself to being extremely well adapted to a strong wrap. I don't know how else to explain that, but it can be wrapped very strongly. Whereas other points with just notches and not this large area for hafting, or a large area where the fiber can be placed, the ones with notches cannot be hafted this strongly, in my opinion. This is probably the strongest hafting arrangement that I can think of when using a wrap, this particular design. Okay. I don't have glue. Anyway, and I think the whole thing was wrapped, not wrapped, but coated with glue afterwards. Okay. And I'll do some more videos like this. I'm a little pressed for time as usual, so I just wanted to do this quickly and temporarily. But this is how I believe Daltons were hafted. Okay, very smooth transition. Lots of plant fiber wrapping. Very tight, very carefully done, and with a very strong joint in mind. Okay. Now, when that happens, you don't really want to take this apart. So I believe that they were resharpened while in the haft. So if this got dull, you would resharpen it and not take it out of this haft. Okay, just leave it wrapped. And I think that's why you see a lot of these Daltons snapped right here also, because this joint is very strong. You probably never see those snapped too far down into the wrapping. Maybe a little bit down in, but mostly right across the weak part here. As far as I know, that's where I've seen them broken, right here. And I've seen some broken down in past this ground area just slightly. Okay. So, and this will fit in a large reed fairly easily. And it can also be used as a knife. It's hefty enough to be used as a knife with the 7/16 diameter, or maybe even up to a 1/2 inch. Okay, so grains first, 260 grams, 16.8 or 17. Okay, hopefully I haven't left anything out. There you go.